Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's design the API using the RAML. In this lecture, we are going to design the API using the RAML. For that case, we having the following requirement, and we are going to follow this requirement. Let me modify again this thing. I have forgot to modify the thing. Now that is fine. So we have the following requirement where if these four method we are going to create: get method, post method, and delete method, and update method. Okay, now update is also called a put. Okay, now if we are going to check the as a HR or manager, we have to give the rating to employer, and we are going to give the rating to employer as a new joining, that there is and we are checking the database if the employee is present or not, and what was the employee last year hiring. This all we can check using the get operation. After that, if the employee is new to organization and is a new hire, then we can insert into database, that is called a post method. If employee have left the organization, then we can call as a delete method to delete the database, delete the row from database. And if it is existing employee, then we are going to update the detail with the new rating that we have given. Okay, so this thing we are going to perform. But before that, again let me brief this thing. While creating the RAML structure, we follow this thing. First, we are going to write here as a base URI. This is the base URI till employee. After that, we are going to write that the resource, you can see here also. Let me show you. Currently base URI is written here. After that, we have written here as a resource. Then we have the body. In the body, we are going to write as a application.json or application.xml. After that, we are going to type of this, it is an object type, the type object. Under that, we are going to write here as a properties of this payload, and under that we are going to give the example. Again, while creating the response, we are going to write the response code. Under that, it is the body. Under body, it whether it is application.json. Again, type of this payload and properties, and we are going to mention the example. This thing we are going to follow while creating the API using the RAML. Again, the same thing I have mentioned here. This is for the request and this is for the response. Okay. Now before creating the API using the RAML, let's understand the requirement. I have created a requirement document that is written as a employee rating 2024. Currently the year is 2024, and in 2024 HR have to give the rating to employee, and HR is going to first there are four cases involved to the HR. Case 1, where HR is going to check the employee with the employee ID and the year. For that, we are going to create a get method, and we are going to check from database with the employee ID and the year. Year is the 2023, that is previous year. We are going to check the rating and the employee ID, and we can check with the employee ID only. That is up to you. Okay. Now HR is going to check with these two parameters. This is called the query parameter, because we are querying the information. If till here, that is the a details. After that, you can use the question mark, and after that, whatever you are writing is employee ID is equal to this. These are the query parameters. Again, in response, if the employee is present, it will come as a rating, that is previous rating as a, and if employee is not present in database, it will call a record not found. Similarly, take the case 2. If the employee is not present in database, then it will be a new joining. Of course, Then what we are going to do, we are going to give the rating to the employee using the post method. For that we are using this URL. Till here it is called as a base URL, and this is the resource we are going to take as a details. We are requesting this information, that is we are sending this information, that is employee name, employee ID and employee rating, and which year we are rating giving, that is we are giving the rating for 2024. Okay, and response HR will get like that, thank you for rating your employer, like that. Okay, in response. Again there is a case 3, where let's take example, employee is present in database but somehow employee have left the organization. So we get, yeah, there was another web service that is basically updating the employee if they left, that they are have left the organization. Okay, so we get to know that this employee have left the organization, and this is no required in database because it is taking unnecessary information, and we don't need to give the rating. Okay, so for that we are going to call this, till here it is the base URI and resource, and after that we are passing the URI parameter as a employee ID, and we are deleting resource from the database passing the URI parameter. Again in response we are getting as a employee ID and employee status as a employee successfully removed from database. Okay, now take the case 4. Case 4, if the employee is already existing and is a reputed member of the organization. Okay, it can be not a reputed member. If he is going to not a reputed member, he is going to get a low band. Okay, then if this is a URL, we are going to perform to update the detail. Let's take example, previous year we have checked the employee having a rating of A in 2023, then he is performing well, and we will check with his manager that whether he is good or not, and if manager told he is a good, then we have planned to give the rating this year also as A. Again we are going to send this information with the name and employee ID, rating, and the year, which year rating we are going to give, and we are going to update the detail with the band A. Okay, now this is all about the all 4 questions we are going to, in response again they are going to get thank you for rating your employee, HR will get. So these are the 4 cases we are going to create while creating the API. First case will be checking the employee status with the query parameter. Second will be the sending, if the employee is new joinee, then we are giving the rating to new employee joinee, and if the employee has left donation, we are deleting the detail from database, and if employee is existing, we are again updating the detail. Okay, now let's create this using the RAML. Okay, now let's again go to the beginning with the design center. I am going to create from the scratch. Okay, if you go when we go into design center, we have the option to create. Once you click on create, there are lots of options we can see here. New API specialization is the one we are going to use while creating the API. This thing we are going to discuss later. The new API specialization, when you click on new API specialization, it will ask you to give the name of the project or the name of the, you can say that API. It is a name of the project. So let me write the name of the API is like that, employee let me remove this one line. Okay, employee rating API 2024. Okay, this is going to be generic, so we cannot write it because in next year also 2025 we are going to use same API, so I cannot write as a 2024. So I have written simple as a employee rating API, and you can write like that, for HR you can write it. Okay, and just click on the, or let write till it is fine, looking fine. Okay, just click on create API and make sure it is I am comfortable it you have using. Okay, okay, but before that let me check. Okay, no, that is fine. Okay, now after, now this is the area came here and I am going to this area. You can see this file employer rating API, it came as here. Okay, now I am going to use this area while creating the API. Okay, now let's go to the documentation that I have. First documentation I have is the get method we are going to use for getting the employee detail. Okay, so this is the base URI that we have and that I have also written here also. If you go to here, that is the also written here. Okay, so first include the base URI. Okay, so let me go to the Google. Okay, and let's write as a, you can see it will automatically came here user suggestion. You can write here base URI, and what should be the base URI, just write here my base URI is till the employee. Let me copy here and write here. Again after that I have to write here as a resource. So I am going to resource, what should my resource, my resource is slash detail. So let me copy here and write the under resource. What we have to write, we have to write the method. So I am going to perform here as a get method. So I am going to write here as a get method. Under get method, what should be the present, we are basically using the under get method. Already explained you, under get method we have to write here as a either as a query parameter or header, and after header we have to write the body. So currently there is no better body, there only it is a query parameter, so we are going to write here as a query parameters because we are using the query parameter. So let's use the query parameter. Already you can see it will give a suggestion or a suggestion as a query parameter. Okay, I have written as a query parameter. Let me, what should be your query parameter, my query parameter is the employee ID. So let me write here the employee ID, copy the employee ID and let me write here as a employee ID. After that you have to select the type, what should be the type of employee ID. So let me select the type and it will be a employee ID should be of course a array, a string, because it can be any number. And after that we have to mention whether it is required or not, this while sending the request it is required or not. Of course it is required, and we have to write the example. Let me write the example as my employee ID, that is the 03 this like that. Employee ID this is present. Okay, again if you are sending the another query parameter, then you have to give back to maintain the indentation. Again we have to write the year. So let me write as a year. Okay, again click here and it will automatically come as a type. Select the type, type should be for year, it should be a integer. So let me select as a integer and let's select whether it is required or not. Of course it is required. Let's this time consider year as a false, because I don't, it is year as a false, I don't want year to be passed. Okay, if I am giving a flexibility so that HR can only pass the employee ID also, or if he want he can pass the employee ID and year both. I want to give the HR as a flexibility so that he can pass the in whether he can pass like that, he can pass like that with the employee id and year, or he can pass like that also, only employee id. So I am giving flexibility to him. Okay, so I have written false, and after that I am going to include the example. Example is like that simple thing, simple. I am giving what should be the simple, so that is the giving, that is the 2024. Okay, this is done till my request. Okay, now we have created the request where we are going to hit this URL with the query parameters. So we have written here as a, so we have written here as a, let me go to, we have written here as a base URI and the resource what we are going to use, what method we are going to use, and what should be the query parameter that we have mentioned here, and whether it is required or not required, that I mentioned here. After that, now we need to create the response. In response, we are going to get two things. First thing, as a, if employee is present, then it will give the rating to employee previous year, and if employee is not present, it is going to be give as a record not found. Okay, so let create the response. If you go back, it will give you a option, auto suggestion as a below as a response. Okay, if I am going back, it will give me as a auto suggestion as a response. So let's see, it will come. Okay, you can see it is coming as a responses. So here you can write the responses. After that, you have to select as a response code. I want 200 to be for this, and after that I am going to mention the body. Under body, we are going to write what should be the body type. It should be the application.json. Under that, we are going to mention the type of the body, and it is going to be the object type. Okay, what I have did, I have written the response as a response code. After that, body, under body we have mentioned the type of the body, that is application.json. Under that, this message type, that is the object, it should be like not that, let's consider, let me show you, it should be consider this as a request. Okay, consider this like that. Okay, there should be some JSON message. Okay, so I am writing as a this as a, I am writing this as a object type should be object. Under object, we are mentioning the properties, and we are going to mention the properties for this, that is the employee rating. So let's write the employee rating, and let me mention the type. Type should be in string, and it is required, of course it is required, so let it make it is a true. And we can mention more option, that is maximum length, minimum length, that is, but that thing is not required here, so I am not mentioning here. An example, let me write here as a example of this that I have already in the document, that is a. So let me write here as a. Okay, now we have mentioned the properties. After properties, we have the option to mention the example. We can mention the example. So here example is coming, and in example we can write this. We can write this here. It is already in my notepad, I think. Okay, we can take this and we can write here. Okay, let me maintain the indentation. Okay, okay, and let me go back. Okay, okay, now it is done. Okay, this is done for one method. Now for the case one, it is done. For the case one, what we did, we have selected the base URI, we have selected the resource, we have taken the which method it is going to follow, and after that we are going to, it is going to query parameter. We have mentioned the both the query parameter employee ID and the year. Again we are going to, we have mentioned the response. There should be two response. First response will be 200 with the application.json, and the second response is going to be, okay, this, okay. And in the property is going to be, here it is coming some error, so let me do one thing. It is better to, it is better to write manually so that it will not throw an error. So let me mention the example. Under example, let me do like that. If I'm going to do like that, and after that I'm going to mention this as a, okay, okay, now you can see, okay, now till here one response done, it is coming not error, but if you do like that it will be okay, fine. Now let's mention the another response code. Okay, first response code done. Again let's go parallel to this 200, it will give you again second error code, second, let me go like that till here. You can see it is coming like that. Second response we are going to choose as a 400, okay, and under that we are going to choose body. Under body we have the application.json. Under application.json we having the type as a object. Under type we are going to write here as a properties. Under properties we are going to mention properties of each segment, that is employee status. Under employee status let me write the type as a string, and after that we having the whether it is required or not. Of course it is required, so I am going to keep it as true. After that we having to mention the example. So let me mention the example, and let me write here the example, this example that I have in the record not found, okay. Okay, now case 1 is completed now. Okay, so we have created the request, this is the request, and we have created the response, these two response. Okay, case 1 is done. Now let's move to the case 2 and case 3 and case 4. But if the, to avoid the long video, I want to pause the video and write the for the all cases, and I'm going to explain the each one of them. So let me pause the video and let me write for you and let me explain the thing. Okay, so let me pause the video. So I have written all the 4 cases here, and let me explain you each of them. So let me copy this and go to the notepad so that I can explain you in detail. Okay, let me select the language as a RAML, so that YAML, so that it will be easy to explain you. Okay, now let's understand the first case. First case, what was expected, that the it should be a request URL. This we are passing the query parameter, and we are getting these two response. If the employee is already present, we are getting the employee rating A, and if employee is not present, we are rating the employee as a not record not found. Okay, so for that we have taken the base URI as a this. Okay, and we have written the this is a resource. Under that we have written the method, which method, and after that we are passing the query parameter employee ID and the year, and we are keeping employee ID is a true required because it is required, and but here it is false that if it is not required, that is fine. So we can pass the either the employee ID only, or we can pass the year also. Okay, now coming to response, we are creating as a 200 response code. In case employee is band is coming, if employee band is coming, so we are under the body, under application under JSON, we are selecting type as object, and under property we are writing the properties of employee rating, and it is true because it is required, and this is the example, and this is the example we are writing, that is the we are going to get in the response. After that another response, that is a 404 not found. Okay, we are going to get, okay, in the body under application.json, under the type, this all thing already explained you ki it should be like that, under the body, under application.json, under that type object, under that it will be a property, after that it will be example. The same thing we are going to follow here, properties under the example, under type, and required under example. Okay, now consider the case 2. In case 2 we are basically, if the employee is new joining, we are sending the request this with the year and the what should be his rating, what is the employee ID, what is the name, this we are sending, and we are getting response as a thank you for rating the employee. Okay, so for that we are going to send the response in body like that, and we are going to get a response, get a response like that. Okay, thank you for. Okay, again we are going to mention the method as a body, and it should be under the detail. After detail, you can detail start from the here, but here we have left one space, and we are writing parallel to this get method. Okay, indentation should be very important while writing this YAML. Okay, under post we are writing the body, again under body we are writing the application.json, type should be written object, and again we are writing the properties of the payload. These all properties we are mentioning, you can see these all properties we are mentioning, these all properties we are mentioning, employee ID, employee name, these all thing mentioning. So we have written like that, this to employee ID as a string, employee name as a string, and employee rating as a string, but employee we have taken as a integer. After that we are mentioning example that we are going to send in the request. We are going to send a request in this example format, so I have mentioned here as an example. Again in response we are going to get as a thank you for rating the employee, so again we are under response, we are going to get a response as a 200. Under body, under there is application.json, again we are going to type as a object, and properties of the response payload, it should be a property employee status, and it should be a string, and it is required, and this is the example I have mentioned, and this is the example that we are going to, in this format we are going to expect the response. Okay, that I have mentioned here. This is the case 2 that is done. Now consider the case 3. If in case employee is not present, we are basically deleting the employee from database. For that we are using the URI parameter. URI parameter is like that. Let me explain you. Let me take this URL. Okay, consider, let me go back. Till here it is called as a base URI and the resource. After that we can, we can pass any parameter as a URI parameter using the slash, and it is going to be perform the action for. Okay, So here we can write like that employee ID, and it is going to, this is called URI parameter. Whatever I'm mentioning after slash, this is called the URI parameter. Okay, so here we are passing employee ID as a URI parameter, and in response we are going at a employee successfully removed from database. So let's see in the here also there is a specialty in URI parameter. While mentioning the URI parameter, you have to do the this like that. We have to mention the curly bracket, under that we have to click the employee ID, and this should be, you have to mention after the this detail, because it should be like that. Let me copy this. It should be like that. If you are writing slash detail here, then URI parameter you have to give right after one line. Okay, after one line you have to write here URI parameter. Again URI parameter you have to write like that, slash employee ID emp id. Okay, or you have one more option. Instead of writing like that, you can do like that. You can copy this and you can do like that, and you can mention like that. So we can, instead of doing this, we can do like that. If I go here, I can remove this, and I will go to them at a starting, and I will write like that. That is also fine. Okay, so under the base URI we are passing the URI parameter. After that we are mentioning the method, what should be the method, and we are writing the response. In response it is going to be 200, because we are performing the action, and under body it should be the type of content type we are mentioning, and the payload type is the object, and properties of the response, that is the employee status, and it is required, and the example I have mentioned here, and this is the example I am mentioning that I am going to get in the response payload. Okay, this is the third case done. Now the fourth case is similar to the first case, so it will be easy to understand. Fourth case is the if employee is existing. What we are doing, we are passing the this URL. Okay, and we are passing this as a request, and we are expecting this as a response. Okay, again we are giving the rating, and we are getting response as a thank you for rating the employee. Okay, again this method is going to be a put. Again we, after one space, again in the same line it is get and post is present, we are going to write here the put method. After that we have to, we're going to write the body. Under body content type we are going to write, and the type of object, that is the object or array, we have to mention the, this type is actually the type of this, this type is actually the type of this is actually object type called, so we are mentioning as a object. Okay, if this is a array, then you have to mention array. Okay, now properties of this payload. In this payload we have to mention the properties of each segment, that is employee name, employee ID, employee ID, and year. So I have mentioned properties of everyone, that is the employee ID, that is the string should be there, it is required, an example. Similarly employee ID, employee rating, and the year I have mentioned as an integer. And in example again we are passing the same all this payload as a passing example, so that we are expecting the request in this format. So I have written like that example. Okay, now again in response what we are doing, in response we are getting as a 200 code. In response we are getting as a 200 code. Under 200 code we have the body, and under body we have the application.json. Under body we have the application.json. After that type of the body, that is the JSON. Currently it is not here JSON, but let's understand that it is a JSON. Okay, and again properties of this we are going to mention properties of this. Okay, so it is properties of string, and it is required, an example I have mentioned. And after that I am going to pass the example as a, that we are going to expect in the response. Okay, so this is the all I have written for the all the four cases, that is the case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. In upcoming classes I am going to test all these method to show you how basically it is working or not. Okay, so hope you are going to enjoy. So again let me quickly brief what I am going to do. Again using this, you have to first mention the base URI. After base URI, we have to mention the resource. After resource, we have to mention the method. Under method, we have to write the header and the query parameter. Under header and query parameter, we have to mention the body. Under body, we have to mention the content type. Under body, we have to mention the content type. Under content type, we have to mention the type of content. Under type of content, we have to mention the properties of the content and the example. Similarly, while creating the response, we have to mention the response code. Under response code, we have the body. Under body, we have the content type, that is XML or JSON, and under that type of this, it is object or array, and after that we have to mention the properties of this and an example. This is the simple format we are going to use while creating the RAML specialization. Okay, so this, in this way we have used and we have created the REST API. And you can see here, if you can see these all four method, you can see, you are going to see here, you can see under detail, this is my going to be a, this is the API console, and here you can see the, this is called a this is called the base URI. Under base URI, we have the resource / detail. Under detail, we have the get method, post method, and put method. You can see here also, under the details, we have the get method. Under that, we have the post method. Under that, we have the put method. These all three are present under the get. But under the detail, we have the query parameter as the employee ID, and that is the delete. So we have the 4 operation. 3 operation is using the / detail resource, and the 4th operation delete, we are using the URI parameter, that is the employee ID. Okay, and that is done with the creation of the REST API. In next classes, I am going to test this API to show you basically it is working or not. Okay, so hope you have enjoyed, and again, if you have any doubt, you can reach out to me. And thank you for watching the video, and if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it.